Nearly 4 years ago, I stumbled across one of the first deliveries of a 6th Gen ZL1. And ever since that day, it's ruined me. What's going on, you guys? Aloha and welcome to my little piece of paradise. If you have no idea who I am, I'm a crazy Hawaiian Texan that loves cars, but also probably a much less handsome version of Nick, Guitarmageddon ZL1, and that voluptuous beard of his. Regardless, this is a place I truly would call paradise, and this lineup of vehicles is my absolute dream garage. As I mentioned, nearly 4 years ago, I stumbled upon Nick's YouTube channel and his 6th generation Camaro ZL1. And just like a lot of you, I absolutely loved that car. And 4 years of work later, 4 years of grinding, 4 years of saving, I'm happy to say I'm finally standing next to my own dream car, my own 6th generation Camaro ZL1. We have dub named Black Tie. And I do want to welcome you to the first episode of Muscle Car Central. I'm the first guest here and I could not be more honored. The place we are in is the Lone Star Hawaiian Garage and is actually where the Lone Star Hawaiian YouTube channel operates. This garage was a build in itself. With my own two hands, we were able to convert this thing from the normal, ugly suburban garage to this amazing piece of paradise. And for our current vehicle lineup, first off, we have our 2020 Silverado Trail Boss. This is technically our daily driver and our family vehicle. My wife drives this on a daily basis with our 2 kids. They absolutely love it. Next up in the lineup is personally my favorite vehicle, the 2007 Silverado. I bought this years ago, 10,000 bucks in Waianae, Hawaii, and is what started the YouTube channel off, and it will always be here. We're in the middle of actually an interior build on this thing, and it's turning out so good. And last and absolutely not least is our newest addition to the lineup, the 2017 Camaro ZL1. My absolute dream car. I dreamed for so long to have this car parked in this exact spot, and I still can't believe it's here. So we're gonna walk through the details today on why out of everything in the market, I waited for so long to throw 60,000 bucks at this car in particular. And we'll touch on most of those options and one option that Nick did not get right on his. If I look back 4 years ago, never in my lifetime would I be thinking I would be mopping my own garage floor in my 3-car garage, staring at a ZL1 and 2 Silverados in my driveway. But guys, here we are. Before I even get into this video, I do want to say I'm just a normal guy. At some point in the video, 1 or 2 children will make a pronounced entrance, unannounced. Weekends, I try to get out here for you guys to crank out a video selfishly to generate additional income. It goes right back into the garage. But this is my passion. I love doing this. So without further ado, let's get the ZL1 back in here, give you guys a good walk around here in Paradise Cove. So officially, guys, welcome to the Lone Star Hawaiian Garage. If you want to follow the ZL1 build, as you well know from the channel we are sitting on right now, the sky is the limit with these cars. So from the ZL1, the 2020 Trail Boss, the 2007 Silverado, if you want to follow those builds, there'll be a link in the description below, or you click that link right there to go visit the Lone Star Hawaiian YouTube channel and follow us there. But without further ado, here it is, my dream car, the 2017 Camaro ZL1. The first year of the new generation Camaro holding that ZL1 name. And to be honest, there's very little they could have done to this car to make it more aggressive, but they figured that out the following year with the 1LE. What we're gonna be seeing today is not a full review of this car because, to be honest, no one wants a full review of a 4-year-old car. But what we're gonna be covering today is why for 4 years I obsessed about this car. That week in and week out, I saved every penny I possibly could to one day buy my dream car. And to be honest, Nick and his Guitarmageddon ZL1 was a big factor in that, creating that addiction for this car. Now, the first thing we're gonna talk about is the front end, and I'm gonna sit down here because this car, when I saw it unveiled for the first time, it hit me on an emotional level. There's only a few cars that have done that, and actually the Trail Boss is actually one of them, which is probably why it's sitting there in my driveway. But this car, when I first saw it in a video, wow. The aggressiveness of the front end I have never seen in one, an American car, but two, in any car. How wide that grille is. It can eat small bears, the heat extractor up top, the LED DRL up underneath the headlamp, the wide one on the edge, showing how wide that fender is. This aesthetically is absolutely gorgeous, although it does truly eat quite a lot in there. There's like a massive butterfly. Sorry, guy. The designers knocked it out of the park. Just look at how wide those fenders are, those 305 width tires in the back, these aggressive wheels, these massive rotors, and those huge Brembo brakes. They really did a good job on this thing. And it actually kind of creates a little bit of a complex when it comes to people that like to modify their cars because it's so well done already. There's very few things that people want to change on these, but I have been itching for some modifications. Actually, there's a few sitting in a big box right behind that door, which we'll get to later. But as you walk around this side of this car, that lower splitter, the girthiness of this rear quarter, and that's actually one thing I noticed when I was on my first drive in this car. I looked in that rear view mirror, and all I saw was a massive rear hip, and this subtle but sporty spoiler in the rear. Now, two things that made finding this car super complex. Number one was a sunroof. For some reason, they made ZL1s, almost nearly all of them, with sunroofs. And as you can clearly see there, there's no sunroof on my car. Now, the reason we don't have one is that body line on the roof, that nice channel down the middle. Guess what? If you have a sunroof, you don't get that. It's just a flat, ugly roof. And because this car is so low in profile, this roof is clearly visible from all angles, and that is such a unique body line. That's what I wanted. The second issue I ran into was the year I was looking for. I specifically wanted a 2017 or a 2018 model, and here's why. As you well know, in 2019, Chevrolet made a mid-cycle refresh that absolutely everybody hated. Fortunately, the ZL1s didn't change it all in the front, but in the rear, they implemented these quad tail lamps, which are okay. But one thing they got rid of, which I was not okay with, was this body line right here. It's so subtle, most people won't see it. The new ones, it's just a flat meh. Now, there is a lot of opportunity here at the rear end, especially with the tail lamps. The one of these comes smoked or clear, especially this third brake light. So that's gonna change here shortly. The one thing I was kind of on the fence about was the carbon fiber weave on the heat extractor. Now, I didn't mind it being painted or not painted, but this is still carbon fiber. It's just covered in black paint versus an exposed weave. Although this one does have a pretty distinct imperfection on it. See. Right there, guys. There's a pretty distinct dip right there in that carbon fiber weave. I don't know if that was from maybe a rock hitting there. I didn't think carbon fiber dented. I thought it cracked. But regardless, it's imperfect. And I can just literally just lean here all day and stare at this thing. This is a work of art. I'd rather stare at this than watch TV. Some people like Netflix. I like coming in my garage and staring at my cars. It's a weird thing. I know. It's been like 15 minutes. I'm just still here leaning, watching, look at my car. It's weird, I know. So next thing we're gonna cover is the interior here, and there's one distinct difference that Nick made a mistake on his that I did not make the mistake on mine. But this is also another reason why it was so stinking hard to find this car. It's that right in the middle. We went with the 6-speed, the 6-speed Tremec TR6060 transmission. I wanted to bang the gears. This thing was something I really wanted. It was so hard to find because there seems to be a million 10 speeds out there and very little 6 speeds. Now, before you go busting my coconuts,
Quit busting my coconuts.
10 speeds faster than the 6 speed. Yes, it's faster, period. 0 to 60 on the quarter mile, everything. It's a faster vehicle, but the feeling of engagement you get with a manual transmission with this little sticky lever and that little pedal down there is something you don't get in any other cars. And I'm so sad seeing these electric vehicles roll out. The manuals have an end date, guys. They're going to go away. And it's sad to think about. I'm happy that for whatever length of time until gasoline is like outlawed, I do have a 6-speed that I can bang through the gears and enjoy while we can. So that was one distinct difference that I wanted to find. They made it incredibly difficult, but as far as the rest of the Camaro interior goes, the Alcantara on the seats, the Alcantara on the door panels. I'm on the fence about the steering wheel. I think that's cool with the Alcantara, but to be honest, daily driving or just driving this normally without gloves, this will get torn up, especially that as well. Now, we don't need to spend a lot of time talking about this monumental platform, also known as the LT4, but we need to take a quick moment and just appreciate it. But also, as far as modifications go, we do have our Elite Carbon Series intake from Cold Air Inductions. I've worked with Cold Air Inductions on every single one of my vehicles so far. The 2020 Trail Boss, the 07 Silverado, they're all outfitted with Cold Air Inductions. And this one is probably by far the most gorgeous out of all of them. Look at that carbon fiber. And then this LT4 supercharged V8, completely bone stock outside of that intake system. The sky is the limit with this thing, and I'm so excited to get working on this to make it even more stupid fast. Which leads me to my next point, in which we're gonna go for a drive, because we did our walk around. It's time to enjoy this thing for what it was made for. My backcountry roads out here in North Texas. I will call it a private closed course for the sake of this video. Get some heat in the engine. Let's go for a drive. And just like that, we're going to jail. It's it never gets old. This thing is stupid fast. Gosh dang this car. So I wanted to cover a few points quick before we continue on. First off is where we live. We're in North Texas. There's a bit of confusion with the channel beginning in Hawaii. We relocated here from Oahu about 2.5 years ago. Great promotional opportunity with work brought me here, and these back roads are just as good as they were the day we moved out here. I love this place. Now, my history with Camaro is pretty interesting, and it goes back to my childhood because, like a lot of kids out there, I was obsessed with cars since day one. My dad built cars, my dad worked in the shop, my dad owned the shop, so naturally I fell into that rhythm. Now, my favorite TV show growing up was Overhauling. I loved Chip Foose and everything he did, and I loved it when he worked on Camaros. And my favorite car then, and probably still now, is a 1969 Camaro. And again, Nick, with your freaking 69 Camaro, well done, man, well done. But as you can imagine, as you get a little bit older, you start realizing the areas in which you can afford. I really, really wanted a Camaro. So between my sophomore and junior year, I took on a summer sales job so I could make money, so I could buy a Camaro. I flew all the way from Hawaii to Northern Virginia to work door-to-door sales, and I made some decent money. Absolutely miserable job, but I made enough money to go back to Hawaii and buy myself a 1999 Z28 Camaro, had 100,000 miles on it, but it had this, a 6-speed manual transmission, and it was an absolute riot. It was an SLP packaged car, had long tube headers from the previous owner. It was pretty spicy. As I graduated college, we got married, started our careers. We lived in Ewa Beach, Hawaii in an 800 square foot home, and I was working for a big company, driving a truck and merchandising shelves at a grocery store. So as you can imagine, money isn't in significant surplus, so we had enough to live comfortably, but not much more than that. Now, Guitarmageddon struck a special chord because when he took delivery of his 6th generation Camaro ZL1, not only visibly was it amazing, but this was a seemingly normal guy, and I thought to myself, if this guy can afford that, why couldn't I? So obviously with careers, they tend to evolve. Got a few promotions in the first few years, my income started to increase, but it still was way outside of reality to own a dream car like this. But then I started doing the math and realizing these guys were making money off YouTube, and I thought to myself, I've worked a camera a little bit. I used to take Hawaiian shore break photography, dive into big waves and take photos, so I can work a camera. and I love cars, so let me try it. So like all YouTube channels, it started off really rough and started gaining subscribers, and I started gaining view counts, and we're still a very small channel, Lone Star Hawaiian channel, not Muscle Car Central. We're still a very small channel. We're at 57,000 subscribers. As far as the income, it was enough to start generating ideas of maybe I could afford my dream car. Obviously, that career brought us out here to Texas, where your dollar goes a little bit further, and I had the opportunity to start looking for a Camaro. Now again, we have a small channel. I make money off of my channel, not this one. So I'm hoping that you, audience, are enjoying this enough to go visit me over there at Lone Star Hawaiian, but only if I have earned that pleasure. But again, with this car, we are just getting started. This thing is a monster. So guys, here we are, 4 months later of ownership, and I will tell you, I'm still in the honeymoon phase. Every time I hop in here, hit that clutch, hit the start button, and go, I still get the warm, tingly feeling you always look for in a car like this, especially when you start banging through gears. And I'm still terrified of it. This thing continues to remind me that it is a freaking monster, and it needs to be handled with somewhat of maturity, or else you will end up in a ditch. But obviously, driving this thing around for 4 months, you realize there's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is some things that you don't like about it. For me, number one is the tires. The tires are horrible. You pick up every rock and stone in the known universe and throw it down the side of your car. And yes, it is a sticky tire. It is a performance tire. I realize that. But for where I live in the country, guys. And these roads have plenty of rocks and pebbles all over them. So I can't wait to get myself a new set of tires on this thing. But also, as I continue to look at this car, I start realizing the more and more I like the looks of the 1LE. And obviously the suspension as well. I thought this would be too stiff, but after driving it, it's really not. I could even go for a little bit stiffer suspension. So what if, and a big what if, on our channel, we do a full 1LE conversion? Let me know your thoughts in the comments there. I will check the Muscle Car Central comments. Let me know your thoughts. Should we go for a full 1LE conversion? Let me know. Whew, guys, thank you so much for joining me here at the Lone Star Hawaiian Garage on Muscle Car Central. I am absolutely honored to be the first episode here dropping on Muscle Car Central, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this one and the 2017 ZL1. If you want to follow this build as it continues, we are just kicking off. Go check out the Lone Star Hawaiian YouTube channel. You get updates on the ZL1, the 2007 Silverado, and we have a big year coming for this 2020 Trail Boss. We just worked out an exhaust partnership for the ZL1. It's being built as we speak. We have a huge box of goodies sitting in that laundry room that's ready to hit this car in the coming weeks. I'm super excited for this build, and I can't wait to share it with you. So we'll see you over there for all of that, but until that day comes, y'all take care, and aloha.